All right. Hey, I'm Caleb. I see here that you're interested in the meetings and special events manager position.
Yes.
All right. So we brought you in to Half Moon Bay today to interview for the position, and we liked your resume and and what was on it, but we want to get to know you and make sure that you're the right fit for our team.
Right, of course.
All right. So to start off, uh, what is some prior work experience you have that you think would help you in this position?
So I've had a few jobs. My first real job, I worked at a movie theater. So that was the first time I was ever working for an actual thing rather than babysitting or something. So this kind of taught me how you have to act in a work environment and how you have to prepare yourself for work every day, and you have to show up on time and be able to come into the office and everything like that. And then last summer I worked at a restaurant as a hostess, so that gave me kind of insight into the food industry, which is something that this position deals with. I know with catering and working with the kitchen and different things like that. So I think working in a restaurant is something everybody should do, just so you can see the other side of it. Like, we all go to restaurants, we all deal with waitresses and waiters and the kitchen staff and everything, and a lot of the time they're kind of treated a little poorly. So I think that helped me to realize the flip side of food service and things like that, and it teaches me how to deal with people in the food service. And then I coach volleyball as well. I used to coach volleyball, and that helped me a lot with teamwork and running a team, because I played volleyball all growing up, so that taught me how to be on a team. But then coaching teaches me how to manage a team and all the different dynamics of that.
Okay. And any extracurricular activities outside of work?
Yeah, so I played volleyball for about 8 to 9 years, and that obviously really helped me with the teamwork aspect and learning how to work with others. And then I'm also I was in a sorority, Delta Gamma, and in that sorority I held the position VP Panhellenics, so that I worked with the greater Greek organization, so not just my sorority, but all of the sororities on campus. And in that, I was planning events for all of PHC, the Panhellenic Council, so it had everybody involved in that. So I was planning different things for that, and that had me taking everyone's schedules and kind of putting those together and trying to figure out how we could all get together and work with that.
And so when you were planning these events, how many people would you say probably were at these types of events?
So in my chapter, there's 100. In each chapter on campus, there were usually 100 girls, and we had 6 sororities on campus, so that was 600 people. But obviously not everybody would show up to every event. So usually you would deal with at the least 100 people, hoping that 10 people were coming from each sorority and things like that, and hoping that you would get enough people. But it could reach up to honestly 200 people, 300, depending on the event.
Okay. And what was your draw to work here at Half Moon Bay?
So I grew up in the Bay Area. So my family and I, growing up, we were going to Half Moon Bay. We spent a lot of time in Half Moon Bay, and my dad even loved golfing, so I was always around that. I was always going to the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which was always something that I loved. And Half Moon Bay has a great program and a great golf course, and I saw this job opening, and I thought it fit perfectly for exactly what I wanted to do. I love being in Half Moon Bay. I love working with events and planning things like that, and the fact that it has to do with a golf course is even better.
Okay. And what experience do you have putting on events, maybe outside of what we've already discussed? And how would you rate your organizations?
Right, so in college I put together a PHC beach cleanup. So that I had to reach out to an organization called Save Our Shores, and I got in contact with them, and then I went to a meeting with all of the women in PHC, and I said, would you guys be interested in doing this? I got people's feedback, and then I went ahead when I got positive feedback, and I decided to plan it. So I had to reach out to Save Our Shores and get in contact with them and say, hi, I have this many girls that would possibly want to come to this event that I wanted to plan. And then after that, I had to organize that and get all the girls, because you had to have all their names in order for liability reasons. So then I had to get everybody to sign up and put on this event. But other than that, just little things in my sorority, like we would do little sisterhood events and things like that, and then in those, they were always mandatory, so you would have 100 girls showing up to these, and so that taught me how to manage 100 people.
Okay. And how would you rate your organizational skills?
I think I have pretty good organizational skills. This having this position in my sorority taught me that. I was also, during the time, managing work, school, and this sorority position, so it taught me, like, I have work on these days, I have school on these days, and my sorority is every single day of the week, so I need to figure out which days I need to do my schoolwork, which days I need to work on things for my sorority, and which days I need to focus just on work. So that taught me how to kind of figure things out with that and plan my calendar. My calendar was always so hectic, but looking at it, like, I would look at the week at a glance, basically, and be able to see, like, I have this going on Monday, this going on Wednesday, and I would be able to meet those deadlines.
Okay. Some of the work that we do here is going to be online work, so how comfortable are you using, Microsoft Word or Excel?
I'm really comfortable. I've been using Microsoft Word since I was in elementary school. I think that was like the first thing they ever taught us to use. So I'm super comfortable with that. Very comfortable with Excel. And then I just kind of recently started using Google Drive, which is like the best thing ever to keep everything organized, because I have like a certain drive I would have a certain drive for all my sorority stuff and then all my schoolwork and everything. And the fact that you can create different folders, and then they have so many different things like Google Docs, Google, like, basically Excel sheets. And so for like the PHC Beach Cleanup, I had to make an Excel sheet for each different sorority on campus, and then I would go and share that with them so they could fill out the names of the girls. So I was using both of those programs easily, like, every week.
Okay. And so putting on events requires a lot of teamwork. How do you feel, like, working on a team, what do you feel is hardest for you?
Working on a team, honestly, I've been working on teams for as long as I can remember, just playing volleyball and then being in the sorority and things like that. But the hardest thing is probably just getting everybody to cooperate and everybody to have the same mindset, because if there's one person on the team that does not have the same mindset and is kind of just looking out for themselves, the team's going to crumble and you're not going to be able to work through that. So I think the hardest part is just having everybody motivated and working with difficult people, but that's something that you're going to always encounter in life. So you just kind of have to work around that.
And if you feel like everyone in your team isn't on the same page, what's something you may do to try and get everybody cooperating?
So there's like one or two things you're gonna have to do. Is you're gonna have to sit everybody down and say, look, this is the outcome that we want to get to. So if you're not going to be able to help us with this outcome, and if you're not going to put in the work and help us get to where everybody else wants to be, maybe this team isn't the best for you. Or you can just kind of sit down with them and talk to them and see, like, maybe if there's something else going on in their life that is causing them to do this. Because sometimes, like, people just, something clicks and eventually they'll just work really well on a team, and it depends on the person, but I think just getting everybody motivated and having everybody kind of help each other out and have each other's back is key with teamwork.
Okay. And so can you tell me about a time that you worked with a difficult team?
Yeah, playing volleyball, I've been on so many difficult teams. One in particular was probably like my 16th year when I played on a team, and there was just a few girls that just did not want to participate and they didn't have the same, like, they weren't putting in the work. A team in particular, actually, scratch that, was the team I was coaching. they were 12-year-olds, so they're young. It's like their first year playing club volleyball. And there was one girl on the team that she kind of thought that she was better than everyone, and so that meant like she didn't have to put in as much work as everyone. But so, I mean, soon she would learn that if you want to excel and play for years to come, you're gonna have to kind of take down your pride a notch, because there's really prideful people out there, and she just had too much pride. There's the good pride and there's the bad pride, and she had the bad pride where she thought she was better than all the other girls on the team. So for her, what we did was we just kind of talked to her, and we pulled up lessons on how to be a good teammate, and we showed them to her and to the whole team. We obviously couldn't single her out or something, but we kind of gave the team lessons on how to be a good teammate, how to hold yourself accountable, how to be the good prideful, and how things like that. So I think her realizing that she needs to hold herself accountable, because teamwork, it's a bunch of people, it's not just one person, so you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to realize that you are affecting like up to a bunch of different people, 10 plus people that you're affecting, and it's not just you that you're looking out for anymore, it's a whole team, and it's for a greater outcome.
Okay, and did you feel that was effective?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What makes you happiest or most effective while running a team?
Probably just having a good outcome and seeing everybody happy, even if it isn't a good outcome, just seeing everyone happy with how we did. Like, I remember my last year playing club volleyball, we came in third place at nationals, and even though we didn't get first, like, third was also great, but we were obviously striving for first, but everybody was so happy with third place, because I remember that last game, it was so difficult. Everybody was kind of just looking at each other and not holding themselves accountable, obviously, because we were looking at each other, blaming it on each other, being like, that was your ball, why'd you let that drop, things like that. Then we came into a timeout, and we came out, and it was like, okay, guys, we need to work together and support each other if we want to do well. And so then the next set in that match, everybody was supporting each other. Like, even if we would mess up, you'd get a pat on the back and say, hey, that was a great swing, great try. And then in the end, when we came out, we lost the game, but when we came out in third, we were so happy with it, because we were like, we really came together as a team, and we helped each other out, and we had so much support for each other. So I think just seeing each other happy with that and supporting each other, even if you don't get the outcome you want, I mean, obviously that would be what would make everybody happiest, but just seeing that everybody was happy with the performance would make me happiest.
So just basically like feeling that everybody had done their best, and that you guys could be proud of what you did.
Exactly.
That's what is most important to you.
Right.
All right. And what is a skill that you think makes you, like, sets you apart and makes you very qualified for this specific position?
So as a communications major, I'm going to have to say my communication skills, even though it's pretty cliche, but I think I do a great job at talking to people and carrying a conversation, and so I know for this position, it's events and different things like that, so you're going to have to be dealing with people. Like, events, you're dealing with hundreds of people sometimes. So I know I'm going to have to be calling up different venues, calling up different clients and things like that. And I think personally I'm good written and orally with communication skills. And so I think that would be my number one strength when it comes to this position, is just being able to talk to people, being able to communicate what we need to get done. And obviously for events, you're running a team, and I know how to run a team. I have experience running a team, and so I think I would be able to do a great job at that.
All right. And what do you find most exciting about this position?
I think just having the chance to, for me personally, is having the chance to plan bigger events than what I'm used to, and kind of growing my personal career and my personal portfolio when it comes to events and different things like that. I also, like, this is a company I really care about, and it's somewhere that I think I would really enjoy working. And, you know, I've never wanted just a job, like working in the tech industry or something like that, where it's just kind of a lot of people are doing. This is something a little different where I'm working with a place that I've grown up around and somewhere I've always been and I've really enjoyed. So I think I'm really excited just to have the opportunity to grow planning events and working with other people.
All right. And do you have any questions for me or the Half Moon Bay company here?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there a chance to excel and like grow in my position, like maybe have a promotion or something like that if I were to get the job?
Yeah, so you'd be starting out on a team, working with, like working on bits and pieces of planning
Right.
events, and slowly you'd move up to more important positions, become a team leader, and then you could move up even higher to oversee several different teams
Right.
and be working on, instead of like making sure that these things are done for this event, you'll be making sure that these events are done for this quarter.
Right.
And so you'll kind of just become a like you'll start out just working more with vendors and making sure that everything's done organizationally, and then you'll move up to bigger picture roles depending on how well you work within the company.
Okay. And then my second question was, where do you just see the Half Moon Bay company and the events team growing in the next 6 to 12 months?
So this is a team that's been together for quite some time, and so as far as growth, we'll see different spikes in growth based on seasons.
Right.
Summer is a much more popular season for a golf course, but as far as like big time growth, we're not going to have a ton of growth because of the fact that we're already cemented as like a long-standing company in the area and have kind of I wouldn't say we've maxed out what we can do, but we're at a point where we're comfortable with the amount of events and the way that we're handling that type of thing.
Awesome. I think that was all I had to ask.
Okay. Well, we'll be in contact with you in the next week or so, and thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It was nice meeting you.
You too.